nation, let us sing and give praise to the Almighty King. Peace and love we share each and every day, and with lights we must show the world we care. Light up the country, light it up. Light it up. From union to fancy, light it up. Light it up. Celebrating this season, Christ is the reason. Light up the country, light it up in the Grenadines, light it up for the world to see. Light it up with peace and love, light it up down in Barali, light it up in Mariaqua, light it up in the whole valley, light it up over Ovia, light it up and in San Souci, light it up. Jesus Christ wants us all to unite. He is the way, the truth, and the light. Come on, raise your voice. It's time to rejoice. And now we will light up every house. Light up the country, light it up. Light it up. From union to fancy, light it up. Light it up. Celebrating this season, Christ is the reason. Light up the country, light it up down in California, light it up at the culture pot, light it up, lay you from Mocha, light it up, chat to Camden Park, light it up, thanks to Mr. Ash, light it up, what a lovely splash, light it up, thanks to Tiny Hill too, light it up, let us follow suit, light it up. Our Christmas we know is unique. For 9 mornings we take to the street. Concerts everywhere, caroling in the air, bike riding with action to spare. Light up the country, light it up. Light it up. From union to fancy, light it up. Light it up. Celebrating this season, Christ is the reason. Light up the country, light it up for the 9 morning, light it up every bicycle, light it up every business place, light it up all the houses too, light it up every street and town, light it up every Christmas tree, light it up windward and leeward, light it up man the whole country, light it up. New and old Montrose, light it up. Villa King Garden, light it up. Stubbs Ratto Mill, light it up. Richmond and Coleshill, light it up. Kettles Camden Park, light it up. Will and Formont too, light it up. Chile Langley Park, light it up. Prospect and Brighton, light it up. Light it up. Light it up. Light it up. Light it up.
Keeping It Real is an interactive radio program heard only on Nice Radio. Join your host, Joel Abraham, every Friday as we discuss important issues affecting our society from 8 to 10:30 p.m. For persons living outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you can still listen to us on Nice Radio's website, www.niceradio.info, or you can email us at bdsnice@gmail.com, or simply give us a call at 784-456-5967. Remember, it's Keeping It Real, the interactive talk show program heard each and every Friday only on Nice Radio.
No matter where you are in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, your radio is Nice Radio, 101.3, 96.7, 90.3 FM.
Keeping It Real is an interactive radio program heard only on Nice Radio. Join your host, Joel Abraham, every Friday as we discuss important issues affecting our society from 8 to 10:30 p.m. For persons living outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you can still listen to us on Nice Radio's website, www.niceradio.info, or you can email us at bdsnice@gmail.com, or simply give us a call at 784-456-5967. Remember, it's Keeping It Real, the interactive talk show program heard each and every Friday only on Nice Radio.
Tune into Nice Radio every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brayton Horn. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St. Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brayton Horn will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brayton Horn at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on Nice Radio for A View from the Outside.
This society needs a spectacle. It might help us to see some evil. This society needs a spectacle.
Let me go. All the wake up, boy. I hear the 9 mornings jam. Look. Forget the shower. Wipe your arm. But come on the house now. Let me go. From the middle of November all through December, it's the season to remember the birth of the Savior. We see us get up in the morning, take a stretch and make a yawn. Rinse out your mouth and wipe your arm. And with that, it's so we go on. Where we going? In the morning, till the break of dawn. Everybody go. We wine like mornings. Let me go. What a celebration, a unique tradition. Wake up, follow, wake up. Let me go.
Good night, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Today is the 29th of November, the penultimate day of the month of November. Tomorrow is the 30th, the end of the 11th month, and on Sunday, it is commencing of the last month of the year, December. Keeping It Real is on the air, so you know this is the time for you to get rid of all of your junk or whatever that is around you and focus on what is coming via the various medium, whether it be cyberspace, the internet, Wi-Fi, or whatever medium that you're using to hear this program. So you need to exhale all of bad air that is inside of you and inhale, take a deep inhalation of oxygen so that you could be enlightened, informed, and edified. And as the saying goes, there's never ever a dull moment in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So wherever you may be, every nook and cranny, crab hole, foxhole, dog hole, or wherever, submerge or outer space, Keeping It Real is on the air. And as you know, this is an interactive program, so when the line is open, we want you to be real as possible, but we don't want no slanderous, no lying, no disrespect to anybody or anything whatsoever. So that's me, you, and the audience that are listening will know that Keeping It Real is the real thing. For everyone, there is a number of things that are transcending. Early up in this month, I had mentioned about the situation that are brewing in some constituents. And I asked that the matter be addressed in a civilly. But like what is taking place in the Western George is like a serious dog and cat fight. And it's even reaching the situation where people name are being branded about by person who has no right to doing such. And I would like to know how that person end up getting that information, and if it is from within the New Democratic Party need to address that matter seriously, because failure to do that could cause them a lot of problems in the near future. You can have an internal matter, and stranger has that matter branded shit about, and they have nothing to do. For them one, the NDP don't go under. Yeah. And for everyone, you know what pains me? Class and color is rearing its ugly head in this whole situation. Yeah. And they should never be. And some people want to parachute in to be representative. I said no. No to such thing. Walk within the community. Make yourself be known. And if you know that you're not people person, you shouldn't find yourself in such. You do not have a will or a right granted to you by no one. And if it's so interesting, do it the decent way. Because if you think you have money and money could buy your way in to represent any general election, you're in for a big surprise. Because what you don't do, you don't start defeating yourself. And I am embarrassed where members of the executive of the party are aiding and abetting where they should be neutral. Let the individuals of them debate among each other. Let them vote themselves to the public, and let the public decide based on what? Not on money, not on skin color, not on race, and these sort of things. If that is the way that we are going, we are heading backward, and you are handing ammunition to the ruling party. Yeah, serious ammunition you are handing to them. And I read the program, I heard someone talk about because of the person complexion, they would be more. I hear it's like what was said in Parliament. If they were looking, do not see him because he was his color complexion. No, and this party has a record that they should know because the founding father went to North Leeward and tried to force a candidate on the people. And the people said no, and he had to adhere. And if this is a similar situation, it should be easy. And no amount of money spent to get things illegally will work out good. I'm not calling any name, but who the cap fit? let them wear it. And I think by now, the party should put a structure in place stating if a candidate is interested to run for the party at least 2.5 years prior to election, they should show their interest and do the necessary things. I think they are waiting too long, last moment, to be blooding candidates and them sort of things. You put it in your constitution that by 2.5 years, if you're interested in challenging the person who was there, you do so through the necessary medium that is there. So, in time right now, you already have your candidate ready to go forward. Unless something happen that you have to change in this last moment. And even though you have to, it shouldn't be a crisis that you are having now. No. So, I hope common sense will prevail and settle this matter, because otherwise, all you will having is a big division. And I don't know how they'll be able to heal that. And that may cause a swell within the party and within other constituency. If the route that you are taking right now is allowed to happen. Father Abraham, how you coping with the rain, brother? I notice when I ask you a question, you don't answer me, but when you ask me, I answer you. It's all right. It's just a concern. Because I know that you're a farmer, and I know a lot of farmers are crying out for the whole situation with the rain right now. Some people got thing in the ground because of the rain. They are having serious loss. Things like edibles and dasheen. Also vegetables like lettuce and tomatoes and sweet pepper. The too much moisture they affect them, because a lady pick up a wash pan of sweet pepper and overnight. Either one or two baron were which in that she didn't notice and spoil everything. So the rain is good and the rain is bad. And then we have a lot of landslides, and it's also causing the profuse growth of grass, unwanted grass. And this also growing profusely because of the ammonium that they had used to throw. So the grass and the weeds in them are benefiting from the ammonium far better than the plant that it was targeted for. So farmers need help to address this situation. I hear the Minister of Agriculture mentioning about money and how he already sent the thing to the Minister of Finance for verification and to sign off, so that people start getting the money and not voucher to assist them in addressing the situations and problems that they are facing on the farms. Well, up to yesterday, some farmers are asking me where will they go and collect the money and those other things. So I tell them, listen out on the radio or on the television, or you should get something from the Ministry of Agriculture, because that is the ministry responsible, and that is where the minister should pass the necessary information. Because some saying that they heard that they should be getting a car to go to the bank and the money going to the bank. I say I didn't hear that. I heard whereby some 2,500 persons would be getting a backyard to get some relief, and they should get it soon in to the bank, like going to their account, because the bank is in the process of making their debit card for them, that they would go and withdraw. So between now and the end of the year, they should be getting $1,800, $600 for the month of October, November, and December, and it might be extended according to what the Prime Minister is saying. So, but last weekend was the ULP convention, and I waiting religiously to hear something of interest in terms of the changing of candidates and leadership and deputy leader and so. But it seemed that they didn't have anything. All they mentioned about the four prospective new candidates that would be in place to replace Snag, who could be resigning, Daniel, who is calling it a day, Stevenson, who is not running back, and the minister who moved from foreign affairs to mobilization, Ms. Peters. She would be challenging armed comments. But for even I got a big laugh. When I had to laugh when I heard the Prime Minister saying that, oh, this time around, he can be winning bigger than when he started in 2001. So I would really like to see how that can be happening. And then he said he would be putting Leacock and Cummings and Bramble and Mark to tell him that, oh, he's coming for them. Well, I would like to see it happen in Central Kingston and East Kingston. I know Cummings can handle himself, but I would like to see that happen. Here you mentioned that we have 4 prospective candidates for Central Kingston. Well, I know the major is waiting on them. And East Kingston is the bastion on the mainland for the NDP. So they have been trying and will continue to try. But that would be one of the biggest failure. And you were down in the red and you had red pad and everything on, and you see hitting for 6. But there's 6 way of getting out. And I hope you know that. I hope that didn't strike him. 1, clean bowl. 2, caught. 3, leg before wicket. 4, run out. 5, stump. The last and final one, hit wicket. So that must be the 6 that you're going to be hitting. I hope he ain't get run out, get caught short of his ground, trying to make, because Shallow say he can't even run a single, much less. You don't think that he can make it past the boundary. So somebody on the boundary line waiting to catch him likewise. But that's my little pecan with that. Father, with the rain coming, you could see the situation with a lot of the schools and them, how they hurry down to do the work. And the yards are flooding. You have leakage, you have poor drainage, and a number of things that are impacting on various school compound. And that now also is impacting on children because children are coming down with bronchial and cold and other things because of the whole situation with the excess draft and coldness. So parents have to be very mindful and boost the children health with the vitamin C's and those sort of things, and ensure that they give the necessary safety gears to protect them from the weather. And my final thing, Father William, is to address the whole situation with the NIS. Some people came to me and they are asking, when will something be done concerning the NIS? I asked them, what do you mean by that? They say, like, for instance, 3 of them are going to be retiring by the middle of this month. That is coming. And this is based on their salary. They don't expect to have a big payout from NIS. And if they take it early, they're going to be losing 40% because it's 8% for every year. And they have to wait 5 years to collect the pension. Once she has worked for 40 years in the service, and her grouping that she's in were denied a pension, while others who are in the same grade as them got a pension. And also some were promised that when the bill passed to make nursing assistant pensionable, it would have been retroactive for those who had retired. But up to now, that promise was made also at an independent speech, and it hasn't happened. And I keep on saying to workers, you have to join yourself together to fight this battle that you are facing. Don't depend on no party or politician to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself as workers. The common good and benefits that you ought to get ought to come from you as a united front. Forget about party. Forget about malice and whatever thing that you have with each other. And fight the common fight for the good of all. And with that, I rest my case for the night, Father Abraham.
Now is the time to celebrate. 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 It's Christmas. It's Christmas.
This beacon encourages every Bajan to speak up and take responsibility when they see something going wrong in this country, in their community, in their houses, in their jobs. It embodies the idea that accountability isn't just for leaders, but for every citizen. Tanya Stevens reminds us of corruption in high and low places only to remind us that because we have a colonial mentality, we see only the oppression that is above us and not the oppression that is among us. Creating a culture of silence in the face of patent wrongdoing
is not just acceptable, it is dangerous and it is destructive. And speaking up respectfully and more importantly, speaking truth becomes a civic duty of every citizen of this country and everyone who chooses to want to live among us, even though not a citizen. This applies, my friends, to whether we're talking about what happens in our home, our workplace, the church, the community, or even the block, especially the block. There is nothing to be gained through remaining silent when we know better. And to say it shoulda, it coulda, I didn't. Regret cannot be the platform to this country's stability, harmony, or prosperity.
On the issue of drinking under the influence of alcohol, we passed a law in which bar owners have a responsibility to relieve drivers of their keys and not to sell alcohol to drivers. I've asked the Guyana Police Force to also ensure that this law is enforced and implemented to the maximum. First of all bars must carry signage within the bars to effect this law. Today, the Guyana Police Force is once again going to send the wording for such signage that must be placed in every single bar across the country. The wording for the signage must be placed in every bar across the country.
The ICC is doing its job. It's doing what it is supposed to do. We cannot only apply international law when it is convenient. And the independent panel of international legal experts the ICC appointed to help with this case unanimously agreed with the charges. Mr. President, people may be uncomfortable to see the Prime Minister of Israel charged with war crimes. But let us take a hard look at what he has actually done. And we must determine whether his actions meet the standards of being a war crime. In 7.5 months, more than 35,000 Palestinians have been killed and almost 80,000 injured. Thousands more are still under the rubble, but their bodies have not been fully identified. Some 60% of the victims are women, children, or the elderly. More than 250 aid workers have been killed, including 193 UN staff, more than any previous conflict.
Everyone, peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry, Merry Christmas.
The Prime Minister has accepted so graciously the increase in his salary. Let us listen to this article. Here's why I need to read the actual article so that I can quote his words, because his words are very telling. Let me read the article for you. This is from the news. It was published about 2 hours ago. It is 6 p.m. on Thursday, the 28th of November. The Prime Minister has accepted the salary increase proposed by the Salaries Review Commission for the Office of the Prime Minister. The increase will see his salary increase from around $59,000 to $87,000. Speaking to the media during the post-cabinet media briefing on November 28th, Dr. Rowley said, in quotation marks, "I have accepted the work that they, the SRC, have done." More quotation marks. "The recommendations have come after work that I believe has been good work, and I am prepared to accept their work. As far as I'm concerned, that is the end of the story. Close quotation marks. When asked if he thought the salary was fair, he said, and more quotations, whether it is fair or not is not the point. Those who were given the assignment to do it, they have done it. These are the recommendations, and I accept it without more on this occasion. End quotation. Let me repeat. Dr. Keith Rowley says whether it is fair or not is not the point. Somebody do work, somebody had an assignment, they did their job and they gave a recommendation, and it is his job to accept it, whether it is fair or not. Well, let me say something to the Prime Minister. The Commission of Inquiry cost taxpayers millions of dollars. In fact, you pay one Gilbert Peterson $8.9 million to represent Paria. It costed us money. People did good work. They had an assignment. You brought in somebody from England. He was good. And he recommended that the families of the Paria divers be paid. But you didn't take that recommendation. Just recently, a law lord in England, because all they don't know when to stop at the Court of Appeal, thank goodness for the Privy Council. When the Auditor General made recommendations, you didn't take her work seriously. So we had to go all the way to the Privy Council, and the Privy Council had to ask you, why isn't the Minister of Finance being investigated? Why you don't take that recommendation? Why you don't take that recommendation? You give a committee to do constitutional reform recommendations. They did work. They talk about term limits, which would mean 2 terms for you. 3rd term, up. No more times to go up again. You didn't accept that. When they talk about all sorts of recommendations from the Constitution, we didn't like any of it. Fixed term dates, how the president is selected.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Welcome back, keeping it real right here on Nice Radio. I played a few clips for you tonight. I don't think I'm going to touch on most of them, but just to whet your appetite. What I want to continue with tonight shortly is changing the system of governance. And last week I dealt with local government and why I think we should have a proper or local government in place. So as early as I think it's 1897, when we were under colonial rules, we had passed an ordinance, establishing the Kingston Town Board. And that town board running the capital, Kingston. And also that was to make provision for other areas of government or governance. At that time, the Kingston Town Board was partly elected and partly nominated in those days. Partly elected, partly nominated. In those days, it was based on, like elections and voting, on property ownership. And we had that system running for a long time. After we gained statehood, Then somewhere along the line, we had a problem. But later on, it was revived and or vibrant in, and it didn't survive for a number of reasons. Did not survive the 70s after we gained internal self-governance. And it was the St. Vincent Labour Party then in 81 restructure or restore some form of local government. And they went to Parliament and enacted a legislation in 1981. I think it was on the October 6, 1981. Two years after constitutional independence. But outside Kingston, some year prior to universal adult suffrage, as in 1951, a limited structure was proposed, namely for Calico, Georgetown, Layou, Barley, and Chateaubelair. And in the islands of the Grenadines, Bequia, and Union Island. So we had a system of local government then. And then persons over the year were suggesting that we need that form of local government back in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. There was a conference, as I told you before, held in St. Vincent, where a number of persons made presentation at that conference in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that was in 2003. Then you could recall that we, Parliament, set up what we call a local government commission to make recommendations and to see what form of local government is best suited for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The commission went out, they did the work, they canvassed persons' views and submitted the report based on the recommendation they were given by the people. Those recommendations have never seen the light of day. And I tell you something. We blame the process of constitutional reform for a lot of things. But the local government, even though it was mentioned in the proposed constitutional bill, the local government could have come into being if the Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines wanted it to come into being. Because you doesn't need to amend the Constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to reestablish a proper functioning local government. But the Constitution Commission at the time were aware of the fact that there was a local government commission in place also doing the work. and work along closely with that commission. You see, politicians do things that suit them or what they think is good for the survival of their political parties, and not necessarily what is good for the country or good for us. We boast about participatory democracy and all sort of fancy terminologies. But in truth and in fact, we do not want independent minded people. And a lot of things we do want. So let me give you an example. On Monday, Monday, I'm told that the road gang should be out in various constituencies or villages, towns, and that Brax is the one normally in charge of that operation. But if you have a proper, let me take back that first. And most of the workers there are supporters of the Unity Labour Party. Most, if not all. And that ought not to be. All of the people in the business and the grenadines pay taxes, directly or indirectly. When you go to the supermarkets or the different business houses, you pay a VAT. So it should not be that only persons who either pretend or genuinely support the Labour Party, because I met some individual who indicated that they just have to put on the shirt or pretend in order to survive. And that ought not to be. That is an embarrassment and an indictment on the government of the day. It ought not to. So let us say we had a proper system of local government where you have, let us say, a 12-member panel. 4 from government, 3 from opposition, and the rest from the community. Persons who may be or should be voted on by the people. And therefore, you have a different or better form of decision-making process in awarding certain things in the community to individuals. And mind you, most of the local government well, in England, I was told that the party in power, they choose the chairperson and the opposition get the deputy chairperson. But you need a system where you break away from the strict partisan politics in terms of all the decision making, the contract, you name it, to persons in the respective communities. And if we have this system, you have persons from both parties and also from civil society or from the rest of the community, and you vote that person to represent the community. And there should be a system of recall for those individuals, because if you vote in strictly on party lines, whether on the opposition side or on the government side, because they will make up the majority still. The way I'm proposing, it don't have to be like that. If we have those individuals, then we say, no, you have no calling being on the local government commission, the local government authority. You're not objective enough, you're not saying, so you have no calling. Because I can't see for the life of it where the opposition can always be right that you have to support them, or the government can always be right that you have to support them. And I always believe, and that is why I couldn't be a member of parliament, for various reasons. I always like my independence, so I couldn't be a member of parliament. And I know we in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we're not accustomed to the kind of radical thing that I may have done in parliament. So you may have called me a traitor. Because if the opposition was wrong on an issue, and I am on the opposition bench, I'm not going to support them. If the government is wrong on an issue and I'm on the government bench, I wasn't going to support them. Because I think, but we're not accustomed to those sort of political independence and understanding in our part. So we have difficulties. A person will be branded and call all sorts of names because we are still childish in terms of our development. So we'll have persons being called all sorts of names. But I think at all times when I go to the House of Parliament, and I don't think the politicians or the representative understand that when you go to the House of Parliament, you no longer represent the 2,000 or 1,000, 3,000. You no longer represent those individuals that vote for you, but you represent the entire constituency, which is the 7,000 or 6,000 plus individual in your constituencies. So you should not just look for your supporters in the constituencies after you are elected. When you are elected, you are the constituency representative. That is why they call you the constituency representative or the MP for the constituency. And that itself gives you a whole new challenge. Because if we understand that properly, what you're going to know is that the representative in the constituency must have more power than the caretakers. You must understand that clearly. You must understand clearly also that when I campaign, that I'm going to put a playing field for the people of East Kingston, and I'm elected, I should, the parliament, the authority, there should be a system in place where I should be able to fulfill the promise to the people, not by getting the money directly in my hand, but there ought to be a system in place because they had chosen me based on what I proposed to them. Let us hope that is the reason why they make the choice. And therefore, it is unfair. It is wrong when I were elected by my constituency, whether by 1 vote or 500 votes, and I cannot fulfill my commitment to the people of my constituency because of the system of governance we have. That ought not to be. And we can do better as a developing nation. We can do better after 45 years. And we ought to do better. So we can get away from the partisan politics and everything and look objectively. I tell you this, in most of the constituencies, you have what we call justices of the peace. And if not all, most of the justices of the peace are ULP justices of the peace. And I don't want to say ULP justices of the peace, but you understand they have to be show some leniency towards the party in order to get that stamp to do the work of the community. Because the justice of the peace, he represents the community. He or she ought to be someone that is well respected and known in the community. But we find over the years that when the government comes into power, they recall those justices of the peace stamps and render them powerless, even though those individuals are well known, well respected, and doing a fabulous job in the communities. But we don't want that. We want person to sign transfer papers during the special 15 days registration period. So you could go in the back door and ask Poyer, ask Abraham to sign this paper for this individual to be transferred because of politics. So we can change that because the justices of the peace ought to be persons who are known and respected in the community and have some level of understanding of legal issues, because a justice of the peace can also be called as a magistrate to function, to carry out certain functions. And let us take it a little closer down to where you could understand. I'm a police officer. I want a warrant to search for your property. I can go by a justice of the peace, and the justice of the peace give the stamp of approval. But if he is not okay with certain things, just because a police officer asked him to sign a warrant to search doggy place to look for a piece of paper, he will sign it. If he come to me, I'll give him a slap in his head. Well, not literally. Because so you know that can't make any sense to sign a piece of paper to put your approval because the police officer come and say you want to go to look for a piece of paper. You know that can, but the justice of the peace that we have will affix the signature on it, because the powers that be may revoke the appointment. So these are the stupidness that we can change and deal with. These are the foolishness that we can change and deal with. So I remember in the early days when you have those ladies and guys with the tray on the head with the stone, they have the pegs and they got the holes and they patch them properly. You will see they have half a drum, they will have the tar and the broom. And yes, and they have the thing and they pong it down, and those things used to last a very long time. With those persons who were not engineers and don't have no degree, but they have common sense, and that is where we lack. No, because those persons and the road used to be will last a lot longer. They have they light up the fire and they hot the tar and they do the things, and those things used to last very long. But we have persons, we all sort of machinery and all sort of things, and yet we see what happened to our roads pretty often. So you have a drain to build in a community. And this is what bothers me most. So you have a drain to build in a community. And then you have to look for party supporter to give that job. If you have a system of local government, you look you look for the most suitable person and you vote. Like they send some proposal to you, and you vote to see exactly because, and you'll find it that if Poyer, we give him a contract the last time or a job to do and he didn't do a job satisfactory, then he should not be given more job to do and wasting taxpayers' money. No, that ought not to be. But under what we have, we give person and they do all sort of stupidness. And because they are support of your party, you continue to do that. And it not only under this government, because I was told by a former minister, I'm not calling his name, that under the NDP, they never used to say exactly to give Poyer or to give Abraham. But what they will say, well, make sure that you give this person part of the job also, because they are supporter of my party. Whether or not they are competent or capable of doing the job, they have to get a little piece of the pie. And that ought not to be. But we fail to realize that is taxpayers' money that we are spending. I'll tell you this, so here we have, and I was studying that poem over and over again. Here we have the COVID-19 mandate. We went to the parliament and we amend the Public Order Act. And then we put certain things in place to pressure, penalize hard-working civil servants. And I last week I was pondering it. We went to court. The court ruled against us. But instead, we humble ourselves and respect the decision of the court. We choose not to. I don't know how much money those lawyers are being paid. I remember once I went to court with a good lawyer friend of mine, and it not PR this time, so. And all the individual got up in court and indicate that he don't think that this office should be attached to the lawsuit. $50,000 taxpayers' money. So we have lawyers on the vaccine mandate issue representing us at the Court of Appeal are paid by taxpayers' money against taxpayers who are suffering, who have since died. Paid by taxpayers against taxpayers with taxpayers' money. How the hell that can make any logical sense to us? So we have all of these things in place that we could do better on. All of these things that we can do a lot better. But are we willing to change these issues? Last but not least, and I'm calling on, what is his name? On Jimmy Prince as the Minister of Health. There's some issue at public health. Let me just, there's some issue at public health where there's bats and mold all in the kitchen, in the offices, in the conference room. I'm looking for the photos and the information, all of those things. And you are the Minister of Health. And those things are going on in your ministry, which you are aware of. And I was told that the workers don't go to the kitchen to eat because of that problem. I was told by a particular doctor who is working there, don't go to his office because of the problem. There are a lot of bad dodo shit in the roof, falling in the kitchen at the public health department. I was told that two windows were out for years, not until about 7 years, and not until last year or earlier this year, those two windows were replaced. I saw the condition of some of the trays that those workers had to be sitting on, and they are complaining day after day. Some of them have no back, and I have one in this picture right here, have no back that he can relax comfortable on. And asking for these things to be changed. For years, nothing. Nothing. I don't know what is the purpose of Braxa and what the real responsibilities are. But this cannot or ought not to be right. Somebody brought to my attention, Poya, right across where the National Bank used to be, where they dug up some stone out the road for a long time. And there's sand basically there, nothing for months. So I don't know about local Kingston Board have to pass the. I saw my friend Clayton Morgan walking across this, so he have to notice it. But that was there for a long time. Nothing. Nothing. We can do better. We ought to do better. I look at few communities where the persons come out to clean the street some during the week. And if we have a proper system in place, boy, then we don't have to send out the road gang 3 times per year. We get rid of a lot of mosquitoes and other things if we do it properly and clean it more regularly. But we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because it doesn't clash with our political agenda for the community. You spoke about the rain over the last couple of years, a couple of months. I know a lot of farmers are complaining, lost a lot of produce due to the heavy rain, no fault of theirs, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing at all. I accidentally were somewhere sometime this week when they had parliament, and I heard the minister And you asked the question, Boya. The thing is, it is the extension officer are the ones used to be calling those individuals and informing those individuals about those benefits. But in some areas, you don't see extension officers. You don't see extension officers as often as they should be. And some cases, you don't see extension officers at all. But what I found strange, boy, is that when they renew your farmer's ID, they work with what they call a data collection expert. So that individual are supposed to be tabulated and say exactly how, for your 2 acres of tomatoes, 2 acres of. But after they on the scene for the first time and they gather those information, they are nowhere to be seen again. But I think it's time for opening line. Let me just read these two texts first and then open line. Good night. Gentlemen, good night. Mr. Poy, I commend you for speaking on the farmers' behalf weekly. I hope I will see a reflection in those main farming communities in which way those constituencies go come the next general election. Good night. Good evening, Brother Abraham and Poy. I totally agree that local government can be instituted without constitutional reform. We had it here already. The constitution, however, is not of our making. The white men in England make it for us and seek only to protect the rights of Christians. That is one of the reasons why my brother continued to say that the Constitution itself is illegal. Check out the preamble, check out the law regarding the Trinity crossed honor. Yes, keeping it real right here, Nice Radio. If you listening and you want to be a part of our program, you are free to so do. At this time, the lines are now open for you to make your contribution. Pleasant good night.
Good night to you. Good night to you, my brother.
Good night. Good night.
You really sound as though you might be the next winner of the next general election in this country. For your objective views and objective thinking, which I would like to really endorse and to support. It seems as though people like us who are not really dogmatic when it comes to political part in this country, who can speak our minds freely, we are the right people who should take over the offices of government in this country. I say so without fear or favor. Because if all what I'm hearing, people are lamenting over, complaining about, if this is what they call progressive governance, well, I would really like to see no progressive government in this country. You know, I really would like to see what they call in a progressive government. I remember when the comrade leader, my good friend, who has all the power to see now, more power than anybody else, where democracy is concerned. I remember when he spoke about participatory democracy. Are we really getting that in this country today? Are we really enjoying what they call participatory democracy in our country?
No.
Because when I hear about all the complaints, lamentations, and what is happening to lesser mortals in this country, it seems as though it's just a continuation of the old legacy of slavery. poor black people. And I'm sorry for those who cannot think for themselves and who has to rely on others, look up to them, bow down to them and all of this for you to make or for you to survive. I was going to say make a living, but it's like survival for the fittest in this country. Right? And another elections is due come next year, whenever the Prime Minister chooses to call it, and so on. And those of us, as I hear you keep saying, those of us who know better should do better. So I am appealing to those of us who know better should really do better. And I'm speaking about the populace, the general populace, the population of this country, every Tutman Bagay in this country. Come on, man, wake up, shake up, get real, just get real. Because when I see what is happening or hear what is happening, I can't see too much these days except what I may see on television from time to time. But I would have thought by now, we would have had a more sensible population who can discern what is happening in our country. That's why recently I've been calling for more what's the term I've been using? Well, more literate. Oh gosh, the thing slipped me. I was getting on to a point there. I was getting on to a point there because it's just pure rhetoric, same rhetoric. The Prime Minister has become famous for that, repeating himself. But nobody can tell him that, or who would tell him that? Huh? Because he's large and in charge of those people who are in position of authority and not of their own consciousness. Right? So it's no surprise that the same old story goes, we have to continue, or we have to what? We have to abide? No. But I won't be surprised, I won't be surprised because one of these days, we might be out for a ruder weekend. I know I have to be careful how I choose my words. Like even the Prime Minister would tell us sometimes he has to, he's choosing his words carefully. But when one look further ahead and listen to what is going on the international scene with America, Trump ain't enter yet, but Trump done prepared us for some kind of something that we have to try and deal with even before it actually come, or we have to prepare ourselves for whatever Trump has decided to do when he gets into the White House, right? And those of us who follow the, international politics and all of that, we will understand that what goes on in the Gaza, in Israel, in Lebanon, all of these things will impact on us one way or the other. It's going to impact on us with Ukraine and Russia and all of that. Right? So we as a people, we just can't get caught or get carried away by the music that they love to drunk us with, the kind of liquor we might consume, and the bribery we would get when we're in that state of not being able to think, when we lose our sanity. And then when it comes back to reality, we realize that we are the ones who have caused our own downfall, right? And I heard your other co-host there speaking about West St. George, right? And what is happening. And please, Abraham, you must speak to your co-host whenever you ask you a question and you say don't answer him. Well, I observe that too. Well, for whatever reason.
I don't answer political or personal questions.
You what?
I don't answer political or personal questions.
Okay, well, I hope, brother Poyer, you hear that?
He knows that.
So maybe one is more political, but whatever it is, we need to bring the conversation to the table, but you mentioned a lot of things that I agree with. But do you think, and that was one of the questions I asked Dr. Al Gonzalez when he came into office in the first few weeks or what. I asked him how we look at the Vincentian electorate. Are they politically conscious?
No.
I put that question.
No, they're not.
I said, are they politically conscious? Huh?
They are not.
Right. So but that's how he answered me. He couldn't answer differently. So if he's listening to me, right, he will remember that. So some of the issues we have to deal with, what I want to say, our people have not yet reached that level of political consciousness, and that's why a lot of us, a lot of them, if not us, can be easily misled, can be easily fooled. Look at what is going on right now in the country. They're having big opening ceremony for everything. If you take up a shovel and you turn over some dirt, there's a big happening, right? And right now, the interest seems to be on North Windward, right? It seems to be out. Well, those people I want to believe are some of the most suffering. And then the Grenadines has also become another point of interest.
Hello? Okay, thank you, Ms. Dave.
I mean, I was upset with CDC when I left because they stopped tracking people that were infected that were previously vaccinated. So if you didn't track it, well, because then you couldn't report that there were people vaccinated that got infected.
But no, wait, why did they stop tracking it?
Because I think there was a decision not to do anything that made the vaccine sound like it didn't work. I've always tried to be honest that I think there was some major mistakes in the vaccines. They should have never been mandated. I also felt that people should have been more honest about the fact that there were side effects to those vaccines, and some people were actually harmed. The other thing, I thought there should be, more honesty about the fact that the vaccines don't protect against infection. I remember Biden saying, this is an epidemic of the unvaccinated. When I was Hogan's chief public health advisor in Maryland after I left CDC, I was saying, wait a minute, 2/3 of the people that I'm seeing infected in Maryland have been vaccinated. I mean, the president of the United States said it. Biden said this was an epidemic of the unvaccinated. Tony wasn't aggressive in putting this in perspective. The CDC didn't put it in perspective. The reality is this vaccine, listen, it's a short duration in which this vaccine provides some efficacy, maybe 4 to 6 months max. If you came down and visited me and interviewed my patients, you'd interview patient after patient after patient that did not have COVID, but are very sick.
Right.
You would say very sick, long COVID patients. And it's all from the vaccine. Now, what is it, Chris? Well, it's the spike protein is immunotoxic. All right. When you get infected, it's immunotoxic. But when you give the vaccine, we make the spike protein. Now, this is my opinion, okay? When I give you an mRNA vaccine, which I helped develop, and I've given to a lot of patients, and I've taken it myself multiple times, I don't know how much spike protein you make.
Right.
Because I give you mRNA, and then your body makes it.
Right.
So you make a little, you may make a lot. You may make it for a week. You may make it for a month. I'm now more of the point of view, and I wish the country would switch more rapidly. I'm more of the point of view, and in my clinical practice, I use the protein vaccine. So I know exactly how much spike protein you get. Your body's not becoming a manufacturing plant.
Right.
Okay. I give you a certain amount of spike protein that's not able to replicate, not able to reproduce itself. And I know the decay curve in the human body. And that's the vaccine I use now. It's made by Novavax. I think it's, in my view, it doesn't have all the nuances that we don't understand about those individuals that looks like there's prolonged production or impact or negative consequence from spike protein in some people that get the mRNA vaccine. It's still rare, but it's real.
And the last one of these was in 2020 or 2019 in October. And it was hosted by Bill Gates, by Fauci, and by Avril Haines. I'm sure a lot of you have gone and looked at this on YouTube. It's called Event 201. That same week, Bill Gates, who was overseeing this simulation, bought 1.1 million shares of BioNTech vaccine, which later became the Pfizer vaccine. He then sold that, almost all that stock, 87%, 2 years later, at a $242 million profit. And a week after that, he publicly announced the vaccine didn't work. So this is what you call a pump and dump scheme. Because he was the guy who was on TV with his minion, Peter Hotez, who took $52 million from Gates for Gates made his institution. So you had the pair of them pumping up this stock for 2 years and then dumping it a week before he goes on TV and says, oh, it didn't work after all.
Yes, welcome back. Keeping it real nice with the fire.
I sit back here and analyzing. I could recall last week, I mentioned about the situation with workers. And I'm going through some documents that I have home and correlated it over the years. You know, workers face the most difficulties under a Labour government, a party by the name of Labour. And your results tell me don't correlate a party because the name Labour. I mean, that's how they would be looking out for workers. And the fact is there. If we go back to as far back as let me start at 75 with the teachers and the tear gas, right? Then we come again to 81, 83 with the dread bill and the 3% tax. And then also to the public order act where you couldn't gather 2 or 3 of you. Restricting your whole thing. And then the whole breakdown by 84, and he was chased out of office. Now, here it is. Labour was back in 2001. And for the 45 years of our independence, or if you go back to statehood, a Labour government has been in office for at least, I think it's 35 years, but they total it up of the 45. Or 33, I think. And when you analyze the whole situation, instead of they advance the whole thing about workers in a right way, it is more about self-grandization of them, or with this, and or with that. Not in a sense of, okay, this is what ought to be put in place to protect workers' rights and all these sort of things. And look at the present situation with the trade union movement.
The trade union movement had to blame themselves for their position, nobody else.
I would think I'm say different.
Well, you could.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Who are they going to blame for their position currently?
We were promised.
No, who are they going to blame for the position, not the promise part?
The government.
Themselves. Let me just read this and go. So, hey, what? For the person the individual who sent the text, I am not on radio to discuss myself and my business. That is not why I come to this station over 20-something years, to tell you about my personal business or myself. And if you want me to be clearer, the partisan politics, I don't get involved with the ULP politics or the NDP politics. I deal with the ULP in government. That is the government of citizens and the Grandees, or the opposition of citizens and the Grandees. It may be difficult for a person to differentiate. I don't get involved in the bedroom politics of the party. Who they want elect, that is the basis. Who they want nominate, that is the basis. That has nothing to do with me. When you are there in parliament to represent my interests as a minister, or you representing me as the constituency representative, I will deal with you when you go to parliament, but I'm not getting involved with that. So I hope you understand, because you asked me to elaborate or give me some understanding. So when Paul asked me about the rain and how it affected me, I not deal with that. When he asked about seedling, I'm not going to deal with that. And those things, I will not deal with that. I will deal with the broader issues, because I am not here to talk about myself. I'm not a Rasta, I don't deal with I. So I hope you understand that. And the politics is the partisan politics I'm talking about. I deal with the issues that affect people in the business and the Granny. So I hope you are clear on it now. Good. So yeah, Poya, let us get back to it. Somebody, let me just, wait, now they're gone. Yes. So I don't deal with the credit to the trade union. They were responsible for their demise. They were there 98 2000 with Dr. Gonzalez. They were promised that they're going to get better. They was going to get 30%. This is a government for you, and all those other things they were promised. They went along with it, and that is why they can say nothing. Most of them went off the scene, mind you. Pleasant good evening.
Good night, guys.
Aye.
I'm not sure whether I sent you two recordings. I know you play one. I'm not sure.
I played it too.
You played the two of them with
I played it too.
Redfield, right? Now, what should I do first? I'll tell you what. I'll deal with that first, because yesterday, I tried to get the tape of Mr. Leacock asking a question in Parliament. Sinclair, good night. There you are, born to pick it up. All right, anyway. And I didn't quite hear the entire answer of the Minister of Health. But the little bit I heard, it was totally disingenuous, to use a nice word. But guess what? Apparently, before the question could be answered, somebody on Facebook was answering, debating the question, Mr. Leacock. And the person gave out, according to them, the deaths 2021, 1082, 2022, 1059, 2023, 1121, and 2024 up to September 30th, 2084. Now, it's interesting that they have those now, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned here that the only way we're going to get some of these answers is because if you went there, they didn't have them available. You couldn't get them. I know of several persons who tried to get them and didn't get them. But that thing there is remarkable. Like, not only was Prince dissing, other persons, like this fellow who's giving out these numbers. Yeah? But down the bit a little bit, a fellow named Fed King Mozart asked a question, can we see 2019 to 2020? I'm going to go past that. A lady answered, it will be interesting to see the cause of death and age group. Talking about MCHC and K and a bunch of dollar sign, I suspect maybe killing people. Also look at number of admissions and discharges. Sometimes you just should not bother with the senseless chatter. However, if the misconceptions of and flat out lies are not corrected, falsehood is cemented in the minds of some. Now, the person writing that is Audrey Gittins. But a little later on, she has something to say. Let me see now. The data will show that while there was such one person like to reference the maternal deaths, especially of young black women. Listen to this, guys. Listen to this. SVG has been zero at those deaths for the past 15 years. Seriously, fellas. At the hospital in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, this is the same person who just told you that if you don't respond to these falsehoods, they become cemented. Nobody ain't going to respond to her. You have somebody apparently posing, I think he's a doctor. Somebody put up something like this, that in the past 15 years, there have been zero maternal deaths in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and making some comparisons. Apparently, whoever was making some comparison to America and talking about that country, how blah, 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 blah. Now, let me say something. That thing that she's quoting there from some other country, that was during the NDP time that somebody or somebody's in St. Vincent was talking about the hospital and who going on strike and who in front of leading picket sign. That is when that statement was made about comparing St. Vincent and maternal deaths to black people in Harlem. I don't know, but let me give you some information. One of the reasons that the Americans claim you have these deaths in Harlem, the black people, is because they refuse to go to the hospital for prenatal care. That was the reason put forward for that. But I want to ask the lady, since you're all into black children and maternal deaths and what's happening in some country or the other, you want to venture also into the sphere of abortion, killing black babies, madam? You want to enter into that? Tell us now. What is the percentage of the black population in America, and what is the percentage of the killing, the murder of black babies in the womb, madam? You want to address that too? Because I know which party you would support. And I know which party support the murder of black babies in America. Since Margaret Sanger, and I tell all you again, everybody got smartphone now. Check out Margaret Sanger and the mother of Bill Gates and see what connection they have to Planned Parenthood. And furthermore, put in Margaret Sanger on your phone, the KKK on New Jersey. See what you come up with. Yes, the Ku Klux Klan. See what you come up with. Well, I want to continue a little bit more on the nonsense supposed response to the question asked by Mr. Leacock. Somebody named Franklin James. Fitzhuggins, the first time the question is based on nonsense. You cannot come up with fictitious notion and then ask that research be done to disprove same. There is no evidence of significant increased deaths, and there is also no evidence of correlation between increased deaths and COVID vaccination anywhere. Research is not about shooting in the dark. COVID vaccination, as we know it, is fundamentally centered around production and identification of spike protein. The principal source of the spike protein in the virus therefore means that the disease exposes you to 1 million times more spike protein than any vaccine. Jomo responded to the fellow. Jomo responded to that fellow. Franklin James, you are evidently, well, that's what I'm reading here. Well, you evidently have not been paying attention. Across the world, there is a veritable evidence of excess deaths. Most interesting would be for us to see the numbers for 2018 and 2019. Now, you just played a man who was walking. You just played a man who was walking where? And what did he say about the spike protein? What did he say about the spike protein? Could somebody's telling me that this Franklin James is some kind of doctor? Is it because maybe he went to university why he's so ignorant? And even so, well, we had a fellow on radio earlier this week saying that 80% of Vincentians don't read. I suspect Franklin James would be one of those. I suspect. I mean, this is just simply amazing. Yeah? And you have Bill Gates, you have Kennedy there, JFK. And you all got the tape already where Bill Gates, after collecting huge sums of money, bragging about Bill Gates said it's the best profit he ever made. And catching COVID 1,500 times after he's been vaccinated 3 times. Yeah? 3 times, and he's still getting COVID. And this guy, this so-called, well, people tell me, I don't know, is he a doctor? Is that ignorant? Seriously? You know, I've said it before now. If anybody who thinks that they could get any education watching to CNN, you will remain ignorant. Totally ignorant. Leacock. No, and here again, people don't want to go down this route. But Mr. Fitzhuggins, you're not young. Tell us a time, instead of you coming up with a nonsense stuff up there about 20 this and da da da. And then somebody got you asking him if homicide in that. We talk. You mean the stupid people going to give you deaths as including murders as opposed to natural deaths, Mr. Huggins? You think they're going to put in, and so you got to put homicides in it to arrive at the figure, Mr. Huggins? You think so? Well, if they did, they're damn stupid. Because Leacock was talking about natural deaths, and they had the question, 14 days before. So for anybody to push that out there and talk about, and you come in to bring in people murdered in it, you let me down, big time. Big time, mister. You let me down big time. But here's the something, and I've been asking for this. We've been asking for this. In the last 2021 to now 2024, here's the question to zero in on. How many, let's take teachers, how many of them have died? And now so you go back to 2020, to 2019, to 2018, to 2020. Yeah? And telling us in that same 2-year period, Mr. Huggins, or whoever, how many young teachers have died? You don't really have to get that tip. Because I'm listening to a part where the guy is saying that more unvaccinated people have died than vaccinated people. In which group? In which group, Mr. Prince? In which group? The young teachers? Mr. Prince, how many Port Authority workers have died in the last 3 years? Mr. Prince, how many Braxa workers, young people, including a relative of mine from Tumuka, who died? Everybody says she was healthy as an ox until all the forced her to get job. I used to call her grandmother Cousin Lottie. Cattle. I don't call her that. And you are coming with all this. Mr. Prince, tell us, you are dehydrated in the hospital. Why they have you in hiding? Why exactly was your complication while you were in the hospital, Mr. Prince? But now I want to go back, because listen, I am saying, given what is going on, the news has also said it in an editorial, that this mandate, they just form a new party in Jamaica. They form one in Australia also, new one. You know what their thing is about this mandate and forcing people? You all remember at one point, let me see, about 8 or 9 teachers died in a few days in Jamaica. You remember that? And what did the labor fella come out and say? Oh, he said they died of exhaustion. They never died of exhaustion before. You see, this is the problem. So I'm saying, here you have this statement. The teachers should have come out already with a statement about what they should have the records. How many teachers died between 2019 and 2020? And how many of them have died between 2021 and 2023? And all a damn one of them vaccinated. So what the hell is Mr. Prince talking about? Eh? Is there a penalty for lying in Parliament? No, guess not. But by the way, before God, Mr. Boyer, all this stuff that they're promising the farmers, all this money, where they gonna get it from? Don't answer that. I'm just throwing that out there. Where they gonna get it from? That they're promising the farmers. Where exactly? We are already some $2 billion in debt. $2 billion. You know what? There's a president of the United States who said a long time ago, he governs best who governs least. He governs best who governs least. Yeah? Now, I come on this radio station or any radio station. My job is to try to educate people, not to get into gobbledygook and nonsense that you can't make sense of. And not in that. So, I'll let you education here. Because I hear somebody bringing up Trump. Let me get all your education here. In 1960 something, they bring up a bill that would allow anybody to vote. Anybody to vote. Anybody. 80% of the Republicans, the racists, voted for it. Without them, it would not have been passed because only 40% of the ever-loving black people, Democrats, voted for the bill. Now, again, back there again, I hear somebody asking, Dougie, I raised a question yesterday. Let me say this again. Ligak, you all stop with this thing. Stop with the reduced VAT. VAT is a nasty tax. And imagine, Dougie had to yesterday morning explain to a guy, I don't know how somebody could think that VAT, because they have some exemption, is to for some people who don't make 120. No, that's for the shop. But you're buying something from the shop, you got to pay VAT. Everybody pays. Everybody pays. It's a nasty tax, especially if you're talking about your law. It ought to be gotten rid of. Like, I'll go back to the old standard. Promise the people that. And while I'm on that, Leacock, you raised the issue again some time ago about the surcharge and Finlay. You make Camelo shut you down. Bring it up. It ought to be gotten rid of. And all of them who call in from America, I keep asking them, any of you in America paying surcharge on all the electricity bill? We're all no card to support stuff like that. No, all the call to kiss up just like everybody else. What a bunch of kiss uppers. Anyway, move. Now, with Kennedy, y'all go check it out. Kennedy wanted to cut taxes. The Democrats won't budge. But after he was murdered by them, yes, by them, it gonna come out, it's coming out. They oblige. What do you think happened? America was flooded with money. Yes, flooded with money. So here comes now the same fellow Lyndon Johnson. Decide he gonna come up with a program. You know what he said? Y'all check it out. That he gonna got them niggers voting for the Democrats forever. Check it out. You know why? Welfare, folks. Something named, listen to this, women, infants, and children. No man. If the man is in the house, you get no money. None. Okay? So he's gone. And a fellow named, forget about Nixon, a fellow named Jimmy Carter is coming in, and he's seeing what this weak thing is doing to the black family, mashing it up. Before that, you had something in the neighborhood of 15%. And listen, black people never used to get divorced. Go check it out. White people were getting divorced more than black people. They stayed there. So here comes this thing now. And you know who is affected most negatively? Black people. So Jimmy Carter came up with the numbers to show them what had happened. All of a sudden, illegitimate, votes for black, gone from 15% to 68%, and no father in sight, and no discipline in the house. You now have 15% of young black men committing 60% of the crime. But that doesn't matter to whether you does it. It doesn't matter. Now, let's keep talking about these wonderful Democrats. People keep talking about NDP kill banana and new LP kill banana. It's hogwash. Bill Clinton killed bananas by taking on with Chiquita and John Glenn of Ohio and Mickey Cantor and all of them by going to the WTO to challenge our preferential treatment in the UK. Yes, they did. Bill Clinton and a fellow named, what's his name again? Oh Lord. Ron Brown from Harlem, a black man. He was killed in a plane crash. Don't ask me what the speculation is. Yeah? They did it. They did it. So now, The next thing we have now, we started in the Caribbean, an offshore sector where people were running away from these high taxes. Offshore sector. After a fellow named Reagan to shut it down, Reagan said, no, you had a fellow named ambassador or whatever to the West Indies, a fellow named Abrams. They said they're not interfering in the tax systems of these people. They mentioned particularly the Bahamas, that let them stay there because if these people don't got work, their proximity to America, they're going to flee to America. And what would that do to healthcare and all those costs in America? Reagan said, no. You all go find the tape. Go find the tape. Within 1 week of a fellow named Obama come there, and I go find the tape with Lynch playing it. Obama went after our offshore sector. Yes, Obama. He and some people named the OECD, who, by the way, is not even a governmental organization. It's a bunch of lunatics who think other people's money belong to them, rather than the people who working hard for it. By the way, now we're talking that. Could somebody please tell me something? C.K. Graves, P.H. Vera, a fella named O.T., a fella in Parsley, I'm just naming a few of them folks. They invested their money and created a job for you, but all of a sudden, they are now the enemies. Yes, the people who created the jobs, they are now the enemies. Left to them people who fighting for these people, there would be no jobs for none of them, would they be? When the fella from Lowman's round the corner by Grand Gate, Bonadi, I know what he was doing. I was a little boy up there. Started the X-Force. First, he used to be the man buying the produce for the hospital. I think on a Wednesday and a Saturday. Yes. And then look what he got. And all of a sudden now, he is now the enemy. He is the enemy. Yeah? I ain't done yet, folks. I ain't done yet. Now, they go on out to Georgetown. Brabaca. See the building bridge. This idiot from Chumuka and Lomans here told them what they were doing was wrong. And I'm going to play the tape of who got on radio and say, oh, you think he's an engineer. And I'm going to go. But guess what? I came on radio and I told them to go out there and look east. You know what was east of the bridge? Boulders. Huge boulders. And I asked them how you all think they got there. You think they came from the sea? Well, I got on radio and they tell me, where the Keto is big engineer, where the hell I know? Did somebody put up some pictures last week with boulders, the same? Well, that one ain't big size. On the bridge, the same bridge? Huh? Let me give you one. Let me give you a couple more. You remember a fellow named David Ames, folks? You all remember him? I did several programs on this radio station. On a place named IKTV. And a program with Jerry George. One of them, was taped in Sylvester House in Kittels. Yes. About David Ames. He was a crook. He was a crook. And you would figure after all the noise they made about Otley Hall, you would be particularly careful about this kind of people. Not true. But no, we're bringing him. What's the deal? Where's David Ames now anyway? Could somebody please tell me? Here's another one. I live in Lomans. And I'm a little boy and I'm watching my grandfather every 2 months. He can't dig a toilet hole in the yard because there's something under there. Anyhow you go 3 feet down, you can't get past it. You can't get past it. So, the ULP come in and they want to bribe people. They decide they're going to put community center at... No. Y'all, listen. You have to be from Lomans to know that there's a place, that place there, we call it Boom Boom. Mr. Medford Land. We used to play cricket on top of there. You all want to know why there are no big trees or no houses on Mr. Medford land? Because you can't get a solid foundation. So I told them, all you can't build, that wall you're putting up there will not happen. Daniel, remember that? Abraham, you have any idea how much millions they spend on that wall there, that place there, and they had to about, you have any idea?
No.
You have any idea? Let me see now. I think, well, it's close to $1 million. I think they spent $750,000. $750,000. Where is it? Where is it? Huh? That's just a few of the nonsense. And where's the cross-country road? Where is that? Then they come up with saying cock and bull story about turning on the Kingston. But you see, the lady said something. Yeah, she said that when you let the bold face lies go, they become cemented. That's the problem. For example, I hear some fellas playing a tape with Rob talking about Cummins and he resign and he get job the next day and all kind of stupid dotishness. And there's nobody responding to what he said. And Abraham, you the fact, because we brought it up, the French had committed to some work out in the windward side. Cummins worked with them. And when they understood that Cummins was being fired, they say, if Cummins is not there, they're not continuing the job. No, why would nobody, they're not going to respond to that? The NDP, they're not aware, so he could get on with his stupidness until, but listen, evidence is staring them in their faces. Julian Francis was there, he never won anything. Yeah? Okay? Something happened to him. He can't be minister anymore, but what happened the next day? He becomes advisor paid, and nobody can judge. How could Rob think he could get away with that? How in God's name would Rob think he could get away with that? We're trying to smear Cummins and talk stupidness. Because you're not responding, folks. Not responding. Now, last week I threw, and you know I'm going to go into it. And I showed something, right, about Little Tokyo. Why is this there? Well, you all know why, let me tell you all why it's there. Because Mitchell sided with the Japanese. And that was the reward for siding with the Japanese, that we should kill a few blackfish or whale when we catch them. 1 in 100 years, people want to ban that. But you all don't get it, do you? So let me tell you something. Let me say something now. So you have the people in Barley there. Used to be Rosebank too, but they stopped. The people who used to catch the blackfish in Rosebank, they stopped at the young people. All of them wanted to be doctor and lawyer, so that's the end of that. But the people in Barley have been doing this thing for what? 2,000 years? And somebody now wants to tell them, oh, you can't kill no more blackfish. Guess what? We're going to get some people to go out there and boat and watch them. I wonder how the poor people in Barley, who actually a lot of them sent their kids to school from selling crisps and blackfish and all of that. What benefit were they going to get if you stop them from catching blackfish and put them out there so somebody could come with thing and take the people on cruise so they could watch blackfish hopping and skipping out in the ocean? Sounds good, right? Except, listen, if you come out of Barley with strong numbers, you win the seats. All you want somebody going back to see, you got somebody there who's going to stop all you from, you all don't get it there. You all want to stop somebody from doing that. Let me give you all the next one. You have, in America, people like to talk about America. You have a couple of district attorneys, right? They run in, they must be elected. You know what their campaign slogan was? They're going to get Trump. So I'm laughing because it sounded familiar to me. Because in 1998 and 2000, the campaign in St. Vincent was Mitchell going to jail. That was the campaign. Mitchell going to jail. That was what they campaigned on. So tell me something. You all don't get it there. How is it that a man who campaigned and put in Frank De Silva in jail going to turn around and offer my son a job? And I take it, and my son take it. You all don't get it, do you? Like they say, they say, I know more than they do. I do. Okay? So I know who was happy about what and who was happy about what. And by the way, you got this guy making out on radio that me and he were in some place with Sir James a number of times. The only time I was in a vehicle with that man is when when E.G. Lynch died. And Sir James had a police escort and he tell me, come go. I'm going to tell all of something he tell me in the car. In front. You see, I'm telling you in front of witnesses, Frank. I'm telling you so you have witnesses that when I die, I don't want any hypocrites coming at my funeral to talk anything. You have witnesses. But he ain't saying that. The guy is making out that I have never met his kids or said anything, I don't know them. But he's making out that I had conversation with Sir James, with his kids present. A total fabrication, you see, and bold-faced lies. Well, guess what? Frank De Silva is not a pair because it would cement in people's heads. See, Miss Audrey Gittins, it would cement in people's head. I'm not about to be quiet when you're lying like a fly. You're lying like a fly. I'm listening to somebody tonight saying you should have independent voices. Really? So how come they're not talking about, I guess them should, but not me. So you can't support over there and I support over here. Because I weighed it. I put it in the balance and I say, you know what? This to me would be the better man. And he will not have, his candidacy will not have a negative impact in another constituency. You know, I'm thinking, see. So no. So, I mean, I done with that. Okay? A couple of weeks ago, I heard a guy, I mean, just lambasting because apparently they paid for the program. And I'm saying for the 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour, he could tell the guy to shut up and my time to talk and all kind of thing. I'm sitting here, you know what? I got on the phone and I said, in 1998-99, I wrote an article, The Price of Arrogance. And I was talking to the guy and his behavior to the host of the program. He was absolutely obnoxious. And guess what? Nobody ain't paid me for nobody to come there and talk like that to me. Nobody. Obnoxious. Absolutely obnoxious. But no problem, they're paying, so they could abuse you. And then, a couple of weeks ago, again, or maybe last week, the question of Jack's, the place in town, the businessman, with some place out Watermill where fell down and killed Miss Patricia Bowman. And they're now saying that there's an even more monstrous structure on the property. And what's the problem with that? And this Thorpe, and he is, what the lady called yesterday and called him, I don't know why people would take offense if she say he's a comedian. He's a comedian. He's a comedian. This comedian is now talking about if the host wants planning, you all are going to believe this, to tell the man what to do on his private property. And I'm saying no, that ain't true. He can't be saying that. And none of these college types or who the hell ever they are, they seem to have forgotten just a few months ago, a sign put up in somebody's yard at Dixon Corner. They planning right the person to take it down. You mean none of these bright boys there who That's why I called Monday morning. I don't want a platform. I don't want a platform. I got a phone, and there's WhatsApp on it. Platform enough. That's what he hung up because I did this and I did that and crossed the line. You see, a whole bunch of things I know that's not necessary here. But that was it. When somebody called, when Spencer Organs called the other morning and told them, you all remember that? Wait. They didn't remember. I mean, the place was almost burning down because of that sign. But now we're asking about a monstrosity where things fly down already, and people got killed. And you want planning to tell people to do the private property? Seriously? Anyway, guys, I've been on long enough, I think. Leacock, you need. Oh, by the way, you know that Robert Bridge thing. I got to tell you all this. There was some function where the Taiwanese were there. Leacock was there. He called me in the morning. He said, I got to tell you this. You know, the Taiwanese say what you're saying about the bridge is correct. He's there. Well, you must revisit. And I don't know how you're going to do it. Okay? But and I'm going to get the answer, because if you don't do it, I will get a chance to rip Mr. Jimmy Prince apart. He's a goddamn disgusting, sick liar. Okay? Talking about who not dead, and who ain't dead, and who ain't this, and who not that, and who not that. And then this one, typical lick boots, come and talk about who much dead there, and who much dead there, and who much dead there. Let's zero in on the number of young persons who have died in the last 3 years, and go back to 3 years before that. Good night, folks. Good night.
I am the lead of this house.
I'd like to
You often interrupt me.
No, I would like to complete
No, be careful now. Don't do that. I'm very respectful to you. You be very respectful to me.
Madam Speaker, the rules must apply evenly. And the member for Cat Island made the point in a release that he intended to address this issue. And Madam Speaker, he deemed it an important national issue. Madam Speaker.
Honorable member, let me say this. Madam Speaker, and let me say this for the record, by the Prime Minister sitting here. The Prime Minister doesn't run this house. This house have an honorable member called the Speaker. So the Prime Minister can get on his feet outside and say anything. But as long as you on the screen carpet, the honorable Speaker manages the conduct of this house.
Madam Speaker, with great respect, I did not interrupt you, and I desist.
I am the lead of this house.
I'd like to complete
You often interrupt me.
No, I would like to complete.
No, be careful now. Don't do that. I'm very respectful to you. You be very respectful to me.
Madam Speaker, the rules must apply evenly, and the member for Cat Island made the point in a release that he intended to address this issue. And Madam Speaker, he deemed it an important national issue. Madam Speaker.
Honorable member, let me say this. Madam Speaker, and let me say this for the record, by the Prime Minister sitting here. The Prime Minister doesn't run this house. This house have an honorable member called the Speaker.
Yeah, that is the real Speaker, man. The Speaker is in charge of the House. The Prime Minister is responsible for government business, or leader of government business. Good governance is a concept that Gonza will never explain to the people. I believe accountability, transparency, equity, and inclusiveness all have a role in good governance. The public institution really conducting public affairs and managing public resources in a manner that promotes the rule of law and the realization of the people's civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. Thanks, You Frank Clinton kill our banana industry with NAFTA. Black people are voting cattle in the US for the Democratic Party. Frank, the black vote is taken for granted because they know election come that black people will vote Democrat overwhelmingly. Frank, I hope that the fella from that station is here with you tonight, including the one who does do the last segment to close the program. Poya?
Here we am. It just at sometimes when people go off on a tangent and create, I can't even explain it. Now, we're dealing with the issue with workers and labor government. You are going to respond. But I say we were dealing with the issue of workers and you were going to respond.
I responded by saying that is the...
You say the trade union are responsible for what
correct, for their own demise.
Right?
Yes.
In a sense, yes. But there was certain legislature that were supposed to already be in practice to help workers to cement themselves. Because a number of the legislation concerning workers are outdated. And they need to come in on stream with modernly.
But how they were effective and get a lot of mouth in 1998, 2001, 2000,
Well,
2001.
that is what bothers me.
Okay.
It's bothers me. Right? And
but without the legislation in place, they was fighting and calling for the right and representing, well, say that they represented the workers.
yeah, but a number of them now, they get buyout.
No, well, they was representing themselves. They was
Exactly,
representing
they
the
were
workers.
representing the workers. And now the stark reality is here. I'm going to check about the percentage of workers that are unionized presently to compare back then. You could see.
Well, they have a problem with the unions because you'll hear from time to time they say that, but when they get in trouble, they want the union to represent them.
Yeah.
And they don't want to join the union, and they talk all sort of nonsense why they don't want to join the union. But they always they get the benefit when the union, well, they don't negotiate for the last couple of years, but when they used to have negotiation, they get the benefit, even though they're not a member of the union, and they will tell you they ain't going to pay no dues to the union because they're not working.
But the biggest insult that was ever done to workers is when the government give the workers 0.5%.
No, but how the thing is
that was so disrespectful, and they'd use an excuse to say that the union didn't come to represent because they wanted to work in with the cellular phone.
No, if the question is, right, the unions, right, over the years are supposed to represent the workers. And the union is as strong as its membership. And if the membership don't demand from the union, they not get anything. And if you're demanding from a union and the union is not working on your behalf, then you get rid of the membership of the executive of the union.
Yeah.
That is as simple as it goes. And it's the same thing in governance. If the government is no longer representing your interests, then you get rid of the government and no longer represent the interests. Same like you in organizations, and the organization is not working on your behalf, then you get rid of the leadership of the organization. So therefore, the people love it, and that is why it remains like this. You complaining on their behalf, and they're not complaining. They're happy, and you're the only one unhappy. No, I haven't heard any person from the public complain about those things that you're complaining about publicly. They must be talking to you in corner. They're happy. If they're not a part of the union, it's their fault. If they're part of the union and the union are not representing their interests, then they get rid of the leadership of the union. It's as simple as that. There's no rocket scientist in that. Get rid of the membership if they no longer represent your interests.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Who is a civil servant or a public arm servant?
Person who work on our behalf, who we pay with our taxpayers' money.
Okay. Do these workers who are lowly paid, these workers who are lowly paid, like the daily paid and the fortnightly paid workers, are they public servants, civil servants?
Yes.
And the reason why I'm asking that I'm leading into this, I heard the Prime Minister stating that they never feel to pay civil servants. So what happened to these daily paid workers who regularly go as much as 4 months? Because 8 fortnights is 4 months, right? Without payment.
They want it so.
But now you're saying that how
they want it so. Stay home. If you're not getting paid, stay home.
That's not the question.
No, what I'm saying to you, Poya, did not get
That's not the question.
Poya. I assume that you're suggesting that they're not unionized. They're not getting paid.
No, some of them are unionized.
Yeah, okay. Well, the union is not representing them. The union is not representing them, and if they're not getting paid, well, the government have to be blamed for the public servant not getting paid. It had to be the government and the accounting officer for the Ministry of Agriculture.
Not just agriculture.
We're talking about those category of work you mentioned.
Yeah, but they are not just agriculture.
So the accounting officer is responsible. You stay home because you indicated some time ago that they had to go and borrow money, they had to pay interest on those money, so they have to stay home until they're paid. And everybody, not only them, everybody in the ministries should come out in support of them. Stay home, everybody stay home, close down the entire ministry. Close down the entire government department.
But that ain't gonna happen.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, close down everything.
So it happened.
No, what I'm saying, if they're coward now, you can't blame anybody for their cowardness. Close down the whole ministry, the whole department, everybody stay home in solidarity with the workers until they're paid. It's as simple as that. Somebody sent the email when I was talking about the rat and everything, the public health. They say the public health should close down itself. I agree, because they come round to my place often to check for mosquitoes and all sorts of other things and giving me advice, and down there get walking with the workers and them food and all things. I mean, what kind of anyhow. Yeah, boy. So you get my problem and my frustration. So therefore, unless they take a stand, close down the damn ministry.
But that just show you blatant lie.
No, close it down. If you close it down, you will know. So why the we talk about and close down the ministry? They used to close down the schools, including the churches. You used to come out and march for all sorts of stupidness. Now you have children in school, don't have chairs to sit on. Right, standing from since the opening of school, and you're telling me close down the damn system. It's as simple as that. But they're afraid because they're not united and talking about my government and my government shit. And it ain't helping you in any way. You're not benefiting. Your people are suffering and you talk about my government, my government. How that gonna make sense for you?
Because they are so dumb.
Wait, let me talk about that too. So somebody give me some information for when they are the. Okay, I'll leave out that. So you can't have working in the department. You're wicked, all of you wicked who getting paid monthly, weekly, fortnightly, and your other brothers or co-workers suffering, and you're doing nothing in the support. All of you wicked. All of you wicked. It's as simple as that. Close down everything. Shut the whole thing down. They can't fire all of you. They can't fire everybody. Close it down. It's as simple as that. You're laughing. I'm not joking.
No, but
I'm not joking.
No, the statement that you're making remind me of Colin Williams' father, old Nappy Williams. That used to be his mantra.
Oh, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that was the partner boy. No, but I'm serious. I'm not joking though.
No. I know. And these are the sort of things that, for instance, allowances.
Let me just read it because we go right into the close and it's 5 minutes, but I don't want to run over and get me ball pistol. Mr. Poyer, if they are afraid to talk, why aren't they Mr. Poyer, if they are afraid to talk, why aren't they speaking with their voting finger? Every constituency that is a major farming area, who represent those constituency? Every election for now, for how many years now? You are strengthening Abraham's point. They are the one responsible. I love the man age song is the people. Okay. Go on, boy. So we go right into the closing now. Just about 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
So
Yes.
this is the whole situation, and they continue to use the sweet words and all sorts of things that they love you, and they will give you a little trinket to hand out at special time, and then you continue to suffer, right? While the benefits and the advance, while you can't move much further. Because you mentioned about, okay, you building houses and all that. That is all fine and good. Who has to maintain the home? Does not have a cost and all that? And when you make people become lethargic and lazy and only concerned about a handout, yeah, are you advancing productivity?
Georgia, what you used to say? We wicked. And I agree, we wicked people. If the public servant, the police, they are 1,000 strong. If 600 of them, not even the 1,000 plus, if 600 of them stood up and said that we're not taking the vaccine until it's properly approved, you think any one of the police would have been fired? No, just a little more than half, even half. But they don't have no balls. They're weak. All they want to do come and humbug law-abiding citizens from time to time. But they're weak. They can't stand up for their own selves. You look at the condition of some of the police stations. Deplorable. Nobody should be living in them. Look at the one that stops. They close down the one that stops and they move higher up. You look at the police station, boy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're not saying nothing for themselves, but they want us to come here and represent them. And they're not doing nothing for themselves. Don't turn up to work. I hear you.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that. So you expect, if the nurses and them, all of them, like in Guyana, stood up and said, no, you release a few of our nurses, we're not going to work. When they did that in Guyana, what happened? They had to call back all of them. So we are a coward bunch of people and we're wicked. Once we can get food in our pots or our bellies are filled, we ain't consume nobody else. A wicked group of people.
Well, we on that. Hopefully next week I want to delve into the whole issue concerning nursing and a dilemma that is pending.
Yeah, I want it on the beach, Bokaman Beach, next week. The beach is ours. And nobody should put any white sand and block us from bathing on our beaches.
There's a greater thing to that aspect,
Okay.
Because you're changing the whole environment and basically creating just like what happened with the rivers.
But
when last you see a mullet anything in the rivers around Kingston.
But it's
not that's the same thing that they're gonna be doing with those beaches.
And now you bring in Gambia and say the beaches might like a bathe anytime, and you do the same wickedness to the people now. I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. The beaches might like a bathe anytime, and we want you have any differentiation. between the tourists and the locals. We want the damn beach to be there when we want.
Access to
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Until next week, we have a wonderful evening.
Keeping It Real is an interactive radio program heard only on Nice Radio. Join your host, Joel Abraham, every Friday as we discuss important issues affecting our society from 8 to 10:30 p.m. For persons living outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you can still listen to us on Nice Radio's website, www.niceradio.info, or you can email us at bdsnice@gmail.com, or simply give us a call at 784-456-5967. Remember, it's Keeping It Real, the